I'm a professional volleyball strength conditioning coach, and this is the most simple framework to build a workout program to help you jump higher. And today I'm going to tell you about it. And this video is specifically for volleyball players. So if you're not a volleyball player, you can still get benefit from this, but I do train volleyball players exclusively. So if you want to learn how to jump higher and you play volleyball, you should watch this video. I'm going to walk you through some things. So earlier this week, I put this post up on my Instagram as the most simple program to jump higher. And so today we're going to do three things. I'm going to explain my thought process behind it. I'm going to explain how I would run this if I were going to run this program. And I'll answer the most common question that I got on that post. Okay. So before that, you're probably wondering who this random guy is in his garage with impressively heavy kettlebells sitting here. And my name is Greg. I'm the volleyball strength coach. I own and operate and started a company that does online training, fitness stuff for volleyball players. So we help volleyball players jump higher, hit harder, get out of pain. We specialize in like knee pain, back pain, shoulder pain, that type of stuff, and optimizing body fat percentage and helping you lose weight, build muscle, that type of stuff too. And I have worked with and trained over 1,000 volleyball players in the past 5 years, from online, in-person, let's see, high school up to the pro level, grass, beach, indoor, 9-man, you name it, entire college teams, entire club programs. But now I run this company with me and my assistant coaches and my team, and we train volleyball players online. And in the past 2 years, we've also trained specifically over 100 adult volleyball players over the age of 25 who want to optimize these things. So on my Instagram last week, I put this, and I said this is probably the most simple framework to write a program to jump higher. So again, I'm going to talk about it, and we're going to start with where this came from. So I was out here just kind of thinking, as I do, about how to jump higher, and what I like to do is kind of take things to extremes sometimes. So I kind of boiled it down to like the extreme minimum. I'm like, if we wanted to do the least amount of things to still get results, like what would that be? And so we're going to walk through it here. I'm not saying this is like the optimal program to jump higher. It's just the most simple, and it's a framework that you can build upon, right? So first thing I thought of is like, well, we know we have to squat. We have to increase the force output in our legs relative to our body weight. So we want to squat and particularly work on increasing the weight of our squat. Next, I said we needed to power clean twice a week, squat twice a week, power clean twice a week. And that is to improve power output relative to our body weight. It's a great way to do that. We want to jump twice a week, if not more, at a minimum. And that is going to do a couple things. One, law of specificity. If we want to jump higher, we have to jump. And two, work on the technical aspects. There's also some power production carryover to that. We're going to want to sprint a couple times a week, ideally two. And not only does that make us faster relative to our body weight, but it's also helping with like elastic ground contacts, things like that. Very beneficial, especially for indoor jumping. And then we want to have a good body fat percentage. So I'm not going to give you numbers. It's like relative, like guys versus girls, you know, and you just don't want to have excess body fat, and even excess body weight realistically, like, is not good for jumping higher. This is coming from someone who is 6'3" and 235 pounds, which is not optimal for jumping. But I'm also a washed up 35-year-old former Division I player. So I'm not exactly in my prime, and it's not exactly my number one priority. So that's the rationale behind this. Increase force output relative to your body weight. Increase power output relative to your body weight. Also increase power output, law of specificity, and improve technique. And then get faster relative to body weight, get more elastic, and don't be fat. So now, how would I implement this? If this were me, say I wanted to run this program, this is obviously a twice a week lower body workout. And realistically, I would probably run this in like reverse order. Okay, so I did do this earlier this week. After I warmed up, so good dynamic warm up, you know, you don't want to like just jump right into sprinting. I don't care how old you are, unless you're like a kid, like asking to get hurt. So good dynamic warm up, but I probably would sprint first as a way to sort of warm me up for jumping, because realistically I care more about jumping. So I'm going to use this as like a warm up to jump higher. So I'm going to do my dynamic warm up, some plyos, light plyos, make sure I hit the hamstrings, make sure I hit the hip flexors, you know, the things that are most likely to get kind of pulled and go through these big ranges of motion. And then in an ideal situation, if I'm doing this twice a week, I'm doing 1 day of acceleration work where I'm trying to accelerate as fast as I can, so shorter distances, working on that first phase. And 1 day of top speed work where it's going a slightly longer distance, where I'm working on increasing the top speed, the maximum fast that I can run. And that would be my 2 days for that. After I would do that, I would jump. Max effort approach jumps is going to be the most important thing we're looking for here. Again, law of specificity, assuming that that's my goal that I want to improve, is I'm going to max effort jump twice a week. What we actually do for clients a lot of times with this, because we have one-on-one clients that we work with, is one day would be max effort approach jumps and one day would be like max counter movement jumps, because it's beneficial to look at the ratio of those two things compared to everything else and see like how close they are together. So ideally 1 day of max effort approach jumps, 1 day of counter movement jumps. After that, I would do cleans. And the reason I picked cleans is because it is probably the most effective like power exercise to jump higher as far as like, the relative power output compared to, the weight you're lifting and things like that. And I understand, I've been in the strength conditioning world since 2009, realistically. So I understand the debate of like Olympic lifting versus not Olympic lifting and power jumps and things like that. But if we're looking at like peak efficiency and you know how to do Olympic lifting, like this is the way that I would go. So I would focus on that twice a week. And if you're worried about the technical aspect of it, then I'm going to give you one quick tip. Let me just show you what I would do. I would start with hang power cleans above the knee. So starting from above the knee and then just exploding up from there and catching. I know it's not perfect technique, it's a PVC pipe, calm down. But the reason we do that is because that transition between below the knee and above the knee. So from here below the knee, that transition to above the knee, that is one of the most difficult aspects of Olympic lifting. And I also was an Olympic lifting and CrossFit coach for a bunch of years. I competed in Olympic lifting, so I do love it. But that part is really hard. So if we can eliminate that, then it's not a big deal. And so I would start with those above the knee hang power cleans. Then when we get into the squats, realistically, you can get away with a deep back squat twice a week if you wanted to. So especially if you're like younger training age, like newer to the weight room, I would probably deep back squat twice a week just for like the general just increases you're gonna get in that. And what you could do is something like one day do like a 3x8 and one day do like a 5x5. Like you don't want it to be the same both days, necessarily. You want there to be like, this is higher volume, lower weight. This is higher weight, lower volume. And you could also just do 2 different squat exercises on that day. So what I'm doing right now when I squat is one day I'm doing like a squat to like about parallel, and then one day I'm doing a higher box squat, right about a 90-degree squat. I don't really like do like full depth squats anymore. They're just not super beneficial for me. But you could do front squats, you could do box squats, you could do belt squats, you could do split squats. It doesn't really matter as long as the goal is to increase the amount of weight that you are lifting and you're working on progressively overloading that, then with all of these other things combined, you're gonna jump higher. So that is how I would run it. With the body fat percentage, that's based on nutrition. So there's some things you can do on the in-between, making sure you're getting your steps in and moving and doing cardio, whatever, but we're gonna focus on nutrition for this aspect. And really quick, because I don't want this video to get too long, hopefully you guys like this kind of less formal, this is completely unscripted version of this video. I have like more edited, scripted, like example workouts. You can check on my page that those are great. Love my editor, she's great. But I wanna be able to get a little bit more content out to you guys. Last thing is the most important or the most frequent question I got when I posted this on Instagram is how I would do this for in season. And if I were in season, the first thing I would do is I would immediately remove this. The risk reward for in season, non-existent, right? It's just not worth it. Like you're already doing way too much activity. And I guess we should specify on like what in season means, because that's really ambiguous, but it could be like you're playing volleyball 3 times a week, or it could be you're playing volleyball 6 times a week, right? It's pretty ambiguous, but regardless, I'm not gonna sprint people in season. The other thing is I don't know if I would eliminate this, but I'm gonna eliminate it because regardless of how often you're playing, we're not gonna max effort jump during that time. You're already jumping hundreds of times per week. So if you do still wanna jump in your program, there's a B on my camera. I don't know if you guys can see that. Then either do just the counter movement jump or jump in ways that you don't jump when you play volleyball, okay? Now that's the thing is like if you're in season, like is jumping higher really your main goal in the first place? Like it probably shouldn't be, but again, ambiguous on what in season means. I would definitely still clean or Olympic lift or do some kind of power-based work. If it's not Olympic lifting, I would probably do kettlebell swings as opposed to like a weighted jump because you're still getting like a really good power output stimulus. I would do that. I did not mention this before, but the reason I like Olympic lifting over weighted jumps is because it's measurable and there's like it's very clear on like, was it a good rep or not? Like, it's like, did you catch the weight or did you not catch the weight? With something like a weighted jump or a kettlebell swing, like it's good, but it's not like, it's measurable in the weight you did, but it's not measurable in the output or the success. So it's like you jump with a heavy weight and you're like, cool, I did it, but like, how do I know if that was what I was looking for? Unless you're measuring with like VBT or something like that, like you really don't. So I would keep the Olympic lifting in there. And then for the squatting, I typically do two things within season. One is I would reduce the range of motion. So like a partial range of motion box squat. I would do that for one day. And the other thing I would do is like unilateral squats. Like just to reduce like the axial load, like the load on your body, the amount of total weight. I would do that and go like split squat or like an ATG type of split squat. Those are really good for in season. So that's how I'd run that. I would not do this. I would not do this, or depending. Would definitely still keep my body fat low. Definitely keep that so you can maintain power output through the season. Adjust what you do here so you can maintain your force output during the season. But then obviously focusing on like injury prevention, like things you need to do to survive and make it through the season. Obvious caveat to all of this is we're also going to train upper body on other days. That's just not what we're working on here. So hopefully that makes sense. Hopefully I didn't ramble too much. This did take me multiple tries to get this to work. But hopefully this is helpful and hopefully you like this style of content because I like this too and it allows me to get more out more frequently. So if you do want some more information from me, you can check out my other social medias. I'll have those in the description. Or if you want to look at working more closely with me and my team, then there's going to be other links in the description. One for the membership workouts where you can just get our pre-made workouts that you have access to 8 different volleyball specific workouts. Or if you are an adult volleyball player over 25 and you really want like a more intense one-on-one experience, then you can apply for one-on-one coaching in there as well. It's what we call one-on-one elite coaching. That's where all this stuff gets dialed in for you. Workout programs, nutrition, film review, vertical jump tracking unit, like everything we can possibly think of, all kinds of calls and everything like that. It's pretty wild. So hopefully you enjoyed this. Again, leave a comment if you hated it. If you loved it, let me know. And then I'll see you on the next one. Appreciate you.